Iowa.
From high school to international wrestling, on the mat and beyond, this is the Potentially Dangerous podcast with the guys from IA Wrestle.
If you're a fighter, you like a fight. If you're an American, you like a fight. If you're an Iowa Hawkeye, you know you're going to get a fight.
Subscribe to our podcast on iTunes and all your podcast-friendly apps. And follow us on social media platforms at IA Wrestle. Time to strap it up and get to the show.
Okay, well, hello everyone. I am Ross Bartachek, making my return to the Potentially Dangerous podcast. And joining me today is a very special guest, Mr. TJ Miller, the head coach of the Loras Wrestling program, the Duhoks of Dubuque. Your guys are coming off a second place team trophy at Division III Nationals. Coach, how you doing today?
Doing well. It's been a great week.
Yeah, I mean, obviously this is a huge accomplishment, big moment in program history. And I kind of just want to talk about the aftermath of that performance. So you guys finish up on Saturday with that second place trophy. Take me through just the past, few days and what you've kind of been doing there at, now that you're back at the office, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, from the moment we got second, that we knew we were getting second after the 157-pound final match, to by the time I got back to the hotel, I think I had around 120 text messages on my phone, and they were just from alumni and former wrestlers and, former teammates of even mine and just my friends and family. And it was just, it was pretty surreal. And, just getting back to Dubuque, they're actually doing something big for us and a lot of the winter sports today. It's just been unbelievable to be back here and see the impact that this has made, just on the alumni, the college in general, and just the community of Dubuque.
I saw you posted a picture on Monday, and you said you were kind of sharing a special moment there in the office. So can you kind of talk about, who you were with and, who you were kind of celebrating with there?
Yeah, I was with the former head coach, Pat Flannigan. We have a tournament that's named after him. He's a longtime coach. He's a longtime just legend of Loras College. Kind of put wrestling on the map in the early 70s around at Loras College when they were NAIA. And he's just been an awesome mentor. And he was one of the first people that came and visited me. And we grabbed the trophy, had a nice moment. We hugged and took a photo. And we actually had lunch the next day. And he's on cloud nine right now. He couldn't be any more happier or proud of where the program is heading. And that was a really, really special thing for me and him, I think, that Monday. And,
if I'm remembering right, yesterday was Duhok Day, so were you guys kind of big dogs for Duhok Day too?
I want to know if that was the case. But, yeah, I mean, we were definitely walking around, and, I mean, everyone's patting you on the back, telling you a great job, and it's definitely nice. But yeah, I mean, Duhok Day was yesterday, and I think we broke a record for the amount of donors that we had give back to Loras, and that was cool. And yeah, it's been an amazing week. I can't believe it's already Thursday.
Right. And I think for folks that really haven't been, that aren't in knee deep in Division III wrestling, that, haven't really been paying attention to what's been going on with you guys in Dubuque, I would compare your situation. You guys are probably a little bit ahead, but it's most similar to like what's going on in Iowa State. They brought in Kevin Dresser and to a team that wasn't really doing very well. He came in, turned them around. They won 10 duels his first year, one NCAA qualifier. The next year this year they got 9 qualifiers, Big 12 runner-up. And that's, really, it's very comparative to what you did. You came in just prior to the NCAA finish, prior to you coming in. I think that you guys finished 43rd. Your first season, I think you finished 6th. Then it was 21st, and now you got this team trophy. So, I mean, what do you kind of think about coming in and just, this ascendance for the program?
Yeah, I mean, I always had like a 5-year goal, like a 5-year plan. Okay, by 5 years, we should have a trophy. And I never thought it would, we'd get second in the nation on year 3. I never thought we'd get 6th in the nation that first year. We kind of caught fire. Last year we had a bunch of injuries at nationals. Didn't have the performance we wanted when we got 21st, but this year we were healthy. We added some pieces, some huge pieces. My staff is, I think, second to none in Division III. I have an unbelievable staff, and Trevor Kittleson and John Aurelian, Rick Healy, Jimmy Davis. Those guys are awesome, and I think that's probably what's happening at Iowa State. They have Dresser came in, but he also brought in some really good assistant coaches to surround him, and then, with that comes good athletes, and it doesn't take a whole lot of guys to come in, and it can get turned around real quick if you get a couple studs. That'll score a lot of points at the national tournament. You can have a huge turnaround, and I just think that's what we've been having. And honestly, I haven't really thought too much about it, but I just put my head down and work. I take everything one day at a time, and now I look up and I'm, we're second in the country. It's been pretty surreal for how fast it's happened.
Oh, and I know you've got, pretty rich tradition in this Iowa conference. I mean, I know is it the Iowa Rivers Conference now, right?
American Rivers.
American Rivers.
Yeah, absolutely. It's hard to say still.
Yeah, I know. I was talking with a buddy from Co, and I still get it wrong. He gets it wrong. He helps out at Co, and I don't know. We still kind of goof it up every now and then. But all right. So I know but I mean, the Iowa Conference is what you competed in. So I know you got a rich tradition. You probably you might know the answer to my next question, but do you know the last old Iowa Conference school to win a team trophy prior to you? No, sorry, not other than Warburg.
You mean the place ahead of Warburg, or that just won a team trophy?
Just won the team trophy, not Warburg. Do you know who that was?
I'm sure Co. I'm assuming Co was the most recent one besides us.
I think
Luther got third. Luther got third. Luther had a good year and got third a few years back.
Yeah, I think that was
right.
Was that in Cedar Rapids too, 2016, right?
It might have been. No, that's right. Luther had that year where they got third like 4 years ago, I think.
Yeah, they had a pretty incredible run. So I just thought.
That's right. I forgot about that.
Yep. So then my next question is, do you know the last Iowa Conference school to finish second place other than Warburg then?
The last Iowa Conference school to finish second?
Yeah, this one.
I do not know that. I don't know that.
Yeah, I know it. This one I had to really pull.
Central or? I have no
Central
idea.
in 1985, and that's before my time.
Yeah, that's my guess. Yeah, that was the best I could do.
Well, so I think you're obviously in pretty, elite company and where you're bringing the program. There's not very many teams that have been able to pull off something like you guys. And you've talked a little bit about your coaches and the rapid turnaround by the guys you brought in. And I think I would say, it just seems like you guys, from an outsider perspective, you really built like this family culture. These guys, they're competing for the team. I mean, you had 5 All-Americans this year, and you got second place without, a national titleist or even national finalist. So I think that really just kind of speaks to the cohesion of your team. I mean, so how would you kind of sum up that team performance?
Yeah, I mean, Coach Denny, longtime coach, he's at Maryville now, has always said the closer your team is, the better it'll compete for one another. And I remember hearing him say that a long time ago when he was at Nebraska Omaha. And, that's something that's always just stuck with me when I coached. Like, I wanted to make sure that my guys were close, a close-knit group. And we've always promoted, hey, we're kind of like a family, a brotherhood. And, I could go to the cafeteria today and I'll know exactly where to sit. There'll be 20 wrestlers sitting together, just chatting. And I think that's just what we have. I don't know how that happened. Maybe it's because they see how close me and my coaches are, and it kind of has a trickle-down effect. But we promote them to, do things together, study together, eat together, go hang out, go out to eat together. And I just think, that was the hardest part in the beginning. The culture probably was not good when I first got here, and it wasn't like that. It's been night and day turnaround the last 3-4 years. But I think it's definitely helped wrestling and our wrestling performance by just having that sense of brotherhood, and having that almost like fraternity-like atmosphere between the wrestling team.
I think there's just no question that you're very successful in building that. I think that's just got to be obvious, because like I said, you can't build a trophy performance without everybody pulling their weight.
For sure.
And it's definitely probably a pretty good feeling as a coach knowing that all of your All-Americans are going to be returning next season.
Yeah, we do have a lot coming back. But, I mean, you look at what Augsburg has coming back, and it's kind of like, holy cow, like, we got some work to do, and even though we did have a great performance and we got a lot coming back, you don't want to take that for granted. You got to keep recruiting, and you got to keep trying to get good kids, and you don't want to get too complacent and celebrate a little too long, because right now is the peak, especially for D3 recruiting right now.
Sure. I kind of do want to highlight some of these performances, because I think, there was a lot of contributing factors to your guys' trophy performance. One of the big ones for me, just kind of watching, was Jacob Krakow, saying his name right?
Yeah, Krakow.
Yep. Yeah, I was just going to say, I remember him. He was a tough kid at Iowa Valley. And he initially committed to Warburg out of high school. But now here he is. He's competing for Loras. He was a sophomore All-American. And I think he had to beat Jake Voss in the blood round, who was a All-American himself for Co the previous year. So obviously he goes to Warburg, ends up at with you guys. Can you talk a little bit about his journey and how he got to the podium this year, just kind of from your perspective?
I was actually recruiting one of his best friends that's still at Iowa Valley, and that's how we kind of found out about his whereabouts around Christmas, and we feel very grateful that he wanted to jump on board to what we were doing, and we weren't sure if he would be the guy, or that they never told him that, and we just kind of said, like, hey, are you going to just drywall and landscape all spring and summer, or if you come right now, do you think you'll be a better wrestler for the next season? And I think he jumped on that. Sure enough, he hit the ground running, and he works his tail off. And we lost to Voss in the semi-regional. We picked down after getting a couple takedowns. I'd say we should have picked neutral to put him in a better position. But so at nationals, we got all the coaches together. I go, no matter what, we're picking neutral. And Voss ended up picking top, and we got away anyway. We weren't getting to position, and it was a good game plan, and he just stuck by it, and he fought hard for 7 minutes, and man, it was just it was a dominating performance. I think he almost had a turn at the end for the major, and I think he won by maybe seven points, but it was just the kid's a great kid. Everybody loves him. I've never heard anyone ever say anything negative about him. He's just a down-to-earth, self-serious kind of kid that just works really hard, and we're very lucky and fortunate to have him. Yeah,
and you talk about the great kind of person he is, and I know this next guy I want to talk about is another really great guy, big important part of your program, and that's Guy Patron. He's
Patron.
Patron, Jesus.
Patron.
Yep.
Like the
All
tequila.
Right. Yep. The tequila. Yep. Well, we're famous for butchering names on the Potentially Dangerous podcast, but no, I know he's got a chance to go down, potentially as one of your all-time greats. He's a return. He was a finalist, and I know he got 6th place this year. So I know that's obviously, he came within a match of reaching his goal a year ago. This year didn't go as planned. So, what went through your, coaching with him and getting him back to, now you got to get him on the right path to win a national title next year.
Yeah. He just didn't have his weekend. It just wasn't a good weekend for him. Just sometimes you have it, sometimes you don't. And the thing was, I think he was trying too hard to score too many points. A lot of people don't realize he's up like 10-0 in that Concy semis match. He lost a close one to the national champ in the semis, and then he came back hard, and he was like winning 10-0, 10-2, and then he got caught in a cradle and pinned, and then he at the end he kind of threw and knocked himself. He tried to double overthrow and knocked himself out there, but we are very excited about him, to have him for another year. He could be the first 4-time All-American in program history, which I think he will be. He works extremely hard, and, I think, this is just going to drive him to even work even harder. And, I hate to say a blessing in disguise, but that's probably what it could be. He's probably the least of my worries with the guys coming back. Like he's going to be somewhere near at the top come next year.
And I know, you're a head coach, you live and die with all of these guys, but I imagine there's probably a bit of an extra bond there between you and Guy, just, both being at that. You both competed at the same weight, right? You were at 97 when you competed at Warburg, right? So there's a little bit of an extra bond there.
There is, and, him being from New Orleans, where I was at before me, I got to work out with him a lot when I was at Holy Cross through my club. He'd come over, and he's one of my first recruits, and said that class with him and Clint Lembeck and Eddie Smith, that's my first recruiting class that I had. Obviously, we work out, weekly, daily, and even live together a lot. And he's definitely one that I've made a close connection with, and he's definitely someone that I look to that's on the team when I'm trying to gauge how the team's doing. There's definitely a close bond, and me and him will probably definitely have a lifelong relationship for sure.
And you talk, obviously that you mentioned them already, that first recruiting class you brought in, Patron, Eddie Smith, Clint Lembeck, they were obviously big performers, all finishing on the podium this year for you. Lembeck especially, he didn't get what he wanted on the front side, but he battled back all the way for third. So, how pivotal was that performance with those guys coming back, reaching the consolation finals for you guys? Just talk about those guys.
Well, it was huge. They all won regionals. So that was big. And then, they didn't get what they wanted. Then Eddie Smith lost in the quarters. Clint lost in the semis, and just coming back to get into that consolation final, that's huge. And I believe we had 3 guys do that. And, when you're only getting second by a few points, it's every point counts. Every win is so crucial. And there is a million different things I can point out between guys getting a fall in overtime or, just little things. I think Clint got an injury, injury forfeit during the third place match. It's crazy how some things work out. And, I'm a big believer in the harder you work, the luckier you get. There was a lot of luck that went into some of that stuff too, but that class, those 3 guys, man, they're pivotal in this program's turnaround, without a doubt.
I was just going to say, I don't think there's any question how important those guys are, and we've kind of already mentioned they're coming back. You kind of got to like your position, but I want to shift now to another pivotal part of your team. A guy, I'd like to say just IA Wrestle loves him, but I think the internet loves Trevor Kittleson. His passion, you're always seeing it on social media. He's almost got somebody just, always got their arms around him, holding him back, and he's just that kind of guy. So I want to talk about, how did you guys link up, and how does he join your staff in the first place?
Well, I think we knew him. Wrestling World's a pretty small place. When he's at UNI, I'm at Warburg. So we knew of each other then, and then I was at the Ames tournament. It was my first year assistant. I was recruiting, and he kind of brought up to me that he'd like to get back into college coaching down the road. And I think back up at the state tournament, we talked, and he mentioned it that that Loras would be something that'd be cool. And I'd be like, well, there's something. Randy Stewart told me he's going to be 2 years, and he's going to hand it over, and I'm going to need to have an assistant. So I told him to be ready in a couple of years. Sure enough, that June, and we're at Iowa at Iron Sharpens Iron Camp at Loras, and he's there with his team, and Randy tells me that he's leaving. So it was just it just all worked out. He was already here, and I'm like, okay, well, you need to come meet the AD, and that's pretty much how it happened. He was so gung-ho from the beginning. I was almost nervous for him, you need to talk to your wife, and he just he doesn't. Sometimes he's just so crazy. He's go, and he's like that in the corner too. And you got to grab him. You almost need a leash on him to pull him back. so he doesn't cost you a team point or something, for a loss of mat control. But,
right.
Yeah, everyone loves him. He has a high energy. He's a yes man, almost to a fault sometimes. Like he just he'll say, hey, let's do this, this, and that. Yes, yes, yes. And then he's like, crap, I can't do all three at once. Like it's, he's an unbelievable high character guy. And, he's definitely a huge piece to this turnaround. And tell you the truth, since he came here, that's when we started doing really well.
Obviously, yeah. I mean, you kind of hit on the next question I was even going to say. I mean, his impact to the program is obviously, it's coinciding with a lot of your guys' success. I don't want to leave out the fact that, he was the regional assistant coach of the year. That was a pretty big honor for him.
Huge honor.
I know you got the head coach award for that, same regional. So, obviously you guys are doing well enough that you're even being recognized before this phenomenal finish at nationals. So, he's obviously he's very excitable, but we love him.
Yeah.
How do you keep him in Dubuque? This guy, he seems like a really great talent. So, how do you keep that cohesion together? I'm assuming you guys are best buds. So, how do you just keep this core together?
How do I keep like Trevor in Dubuque?
Sorry, excuse me. Yeah.
A lot of it is, Loras, he's been sought after before. I'm sure, I know his ultimate goal is to be a head coach, and that's why I hired him. So, if an opportunity would come about for him and, he would take it, it is what it is, that's exactly what we set out to do. But I think Dubuque is a special place. I really believe him and Laura love it here. Me and him were talking about it the other day. He actually likes what we're doing. And sometimes the grass isn't always greener on the other side. Sometimes you just got to fertilize your own. And I'm using one of his quotes almost against him here in this interview. But, I don't know. We it seems like we've been here a long time, but we haven't. This is only our third year together. So I guess you'll have to ask me that if, we're together for like 10 years or something.
For sure. Well, we definitely love you guys as a duo. Obviously, you're doing something right there. It's just this meteoric rise. Do you feel like the label of a rising program still fits you guys? Do you feel like you're starting to come out of that label? Where do you kind of see the program at right now?
I think we've established to where we are going to be a force to deal with in Division III. We've always been kind of ranked in the top 10 the last 3 years or close to, for the most part. But yeah, I think now finishing second is kind of like we're here, like we're not going anywhere. We're hoping to be contending for trophies annually. And, that's kind of the goal right now. And, I think that's where we are. Obviously there's a ton of work to do, and we're going to need to have another unbelievable performance. I don't think people realize how hard that was to finish second in the nation. That was an extremely difficult thing. And, I was just exhausted after that tournament. And just the thing, the scenarios you're putting in, the film you're watching, the notes you're trying to hurry up and go through that you prepared before the tournament even started on certain guys. And it's just, it was fun. It was a whirlwind, but it was fun. And yeah, I think we've established to be, one of the top Division III teams in the nation, I would say.
I know a ton of work goes into it. A lot of stuff, people don't even think about behind the scenes. I was just kind of thinking when I was setting this call up with you, usually when I'm writing something up about Loras, I'm always saying like this rising program because you came out with a bang on that 6th, and now here you are. You kind of say a lot of luck went into it, but I think you guys. It seems like in March you guys do a really good job at putting stuff together. So I do know luck plays a factor, but it did kind of dawn on me like, man, I don't know if I can keep using that in my articles. I'm gonna have to think of a new way to write about you guys. So
yeah. No, man, it was just an unbelievable year. I can't really put it into words yet. I haven't had enough time to almost reflect on it.
And kind of want to close up with a couple of other questions I got for you. And one of them I find really interesting. So, most people are aware. You said wrestling is a pretty small community. And in Iowa, we love our wrestling. So, everybody knows your father, Jim Miller, what he did at Warburg. And most people know that you contributed, 4 years as a competitor to that success.
Yeah.
And Warburg's in the middle of this 20-plus year conference title run. And, now we find ourselves, you and your team is one of the main threats trying to snap that streak. So I just want to kind of ask, you helped build this incredible run, and now you're trying to snap, your own streak. Is that kind of where do you feel in that, looking at it from that perspective? Is there anything weird with that?
It was kind of weird in the beginning, but I think anywhere you go and coach, it becomes your team and your guys, and, if anyone makes it anything more than that, everyone else will make their own parallels on the whole, Loras or Warburg thing. I had an unbelievable experience wrestling for my father. And there's nothing that I would change about that. I guess the goal has always been I wanted to see how good we could be. I've never really focused too much on what Warburg's doing or, I always just have assumed that they're going to be really good, I don't think they're going anywhere. And probably even now they're probably going to work even harder than they ever have. So, if we want to place ahead of them again at the national tournament, we're going to have to, work even harder ourselves. So I really don't look at it like, hey, I'm looking to break a streak or anything. Yeah, I want to. Don't get me wrong. When that duel comes around, I want to beat them, just like they would want to beat me. I make every single dual meet. I want to win every dual meet that we wrestle. So, but yeah, it's not like I overly focus on, that institution or that school.
For sure.
I don't know if that makes a whole lot of sense, but yeah, it would be a pretty cool thing to do. My dad started a pretty cool streak, and if I were the one to end it, that'd be kind of neat. So,
it's just kind of one of those things that, there's probably not very many times in a person's life where it's kind of it's an active streak that they have, that they help, they're the ones that break their you know what I'm saying? I don't own very many athletic records myself, but
for sure, it is an unbelievable feat. It's probably one of the best college streaks in all sports.
For sure.
27 or 26 years now, straight without losing a conference duel or a conference championship. That's absurd, but at some point in history, whether it's 100 years from now or whether it's next year or 2 years from now, it's going to end at some point in history.
That's right. Even the Cubs are proof of that, right?
Yeah. And it might as well be, why not to Loras? That's kind of what I tell my guys a little bit. But, you want to win conference titles, you want to win national titles. And, I'm sure there's not just me, but there's probably other teams that are saying those things too, that they want to do that. At the beginning of the year, there's always hope, So
that's right.
We're hopeful that we'll be in a position to do that again. To have
yeah, for sure. And I didn't really want to do the Warburg comparison. I guess that's
for sure.
Let's just we'll steer it back to Loras Waters because last spring people probably thought we changed our site to Loras Wrestle because you guys were just you were hauling in just a bunch of Iowa kids.
Yeah.
And it just seemed like you guys were very, very successful. It just seemed like every other day, every third day, it was just like, hey, all of a sudden, there's Nudemaker. Who was the heavyweight out of Hempstead?
We had Olson, the Bartow, Tad Griffin.
Bartow. Yeah, you guys. It just seemed like, but it's just for that, you guys just hit it, boom, boom, boom. So, you're obviously doing a good job recruiting. So, what do you feel like you're making Loras that destination, the destination for wrestlers that may not want to go that Division I route?
Yeah, and the other thing is, we're so unique, I think, at Duke, having a small school. If you look at where all the other American Rivers Conference schools are, besides maybe, Co and Cedar Rapids, they're in small towns. So I think, that's intriguing. It's also intriguing, for students to go to small towns too. But we also get those kids that want to be in a larger city or have a larger campus feel, where we have 4 college campuses in this town. It's a huge college town. I think it's a huge recruiting tool. And, it goes back to, Trevor Olson as well. He had a lot of help in, doing that recruiting. And we had a good junior visit day. I think that was like maybe the first junior visit day we had. So we were on those kids in May, a little probably earlier than when we were. And, we got up. Loras was the first campus that a lot of those guys saw. And we just stayed on them. And, I think we almost had 26 newcomers we brought in last year. I don't want to do that. I don't want to do that this year. I don't think we'll have enough room for that. But it was an unbelievable recruiting year, and you guys did an unbelievable job of getting it out as a press. And I've never been a part of something like that where there was so much press and so many guys coming, and it was a cool moment. But it definitely, if you look back to last year's recruiting class, definitely helped this team reach a new height, because there were some freshmen that were coming in pushing some guys. So it was an awesome experience.
It just seemed like, we, I'm not trying to play favoritism here, because we definitely were reporting on those guys going to Warford Co. and what.
For sure.
It did seem like, and now that you say how many people it was, 20 plus, it did feel like that. And it was just seemed like Ted Griffith it seemed like it came out of nowhere to us, because we were just like, but we had a buddy that's in the Des Moines area that just kind of knew, like, hey, this is going down. And it was just came hot and heavy there for a little bit. But it was like a week, almost like every day for a week straight. It was a new commit to Loras. And, hopefully we have not that many, but something similar this spring. I'm hoping for, but, only time will tell. That's right. So, we'll just kind of close up with the last question on, and you've hit on it a little bit earlier, talking about Loras moving forward. You talked about you don't want to get complacent. And so I guess, how do you build on this season? You said a lot of work and a lot of things had to go your way to get second. So how do you do it so that, it's a little bit, I guess, easier to take second or get that top spot? Yeah, it's never going to be easy to take second or get the top spot. But, we have to, just stay hungry, stay focused. As coaches, we got to keep recruiting. That's number one. And we got to stay on top of our guys, that we have as well. Making sure that they're not just, making sure they're doing the right things, using a Nick Mitchell line, the championship lifestyle, making sure they're kind of living right and, they're staying active and they're, we can't run practice or anything like that, but they can still get in the gym and, go on their runs, and we can do a lot of conditioning stuff in the off season, and just making sure we're doing the right things, across the board, whether it's school and, or just our lifestyle in general. And also, the recruiting, you can't stop recruiting. So, we're just kind of trying to put the hammer down on that. And, hopefully we can get a couple, immediate impact guys, come this spring. Well, Coach, we definitely appreciate you taking the time to be on the podcast today. We're definitely looking forward to what you can build in the future. We get slammed, especially this time of year, but we did want to take a moment. This was an incredible season. We definitely wanted to reflect on it with you. So, congratulations again on your big performance. I'm so happy you decided to be on the podcast today. No, thank you. Thank you for having me. Appreciate it. All right. Well, thanks, everyone, for tuning in. Hopefully we'll be back with more episodes. If you're listening to this, we got the War at West Gym coming up this Saturday in Cedar Falls. Hopefully TJ Miller and Kittleson are going to be there, just kind of checking out the action. They definitely know they got tickets if they want to hit up the right members of the IA Wrestle team. So hopefully fans will be out. It's going to be a great we got, I think, 13 matches, a lot of state champs going head-to-head. So hopefully fans will come out. You can get more information on that on iawrestle.com. Know when the whistle go.